Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum assalam.
Yeah.
Hey, Safia, I was told one of the rules is there's no chatting in class with other students.
We live on both pages, so y'all can. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawmiddin wa ba'd. We're going to give people a few minutes to join in. So by 11:05, no one else joins in. We'll start, inshallah. For those who are on Facebook, Facebook Live, Assalamu alaikum. Let's give it a couple minutes, inshallah. Yeah, you gotta be sure to put your mics on mute, inshallah. All right, we'll give it a couple more minutes. How's everyone doing? Well, you can unmute to speak, though.
Great. How are you, Imam?
Alhamdulillah, great. Also, I wanted to ask before we start, do I have your permission to record this?
Yeah.
Okay. Sister Safia?
Yes.
All right.
So this is my first time on Google Meet.
Uh-huh.
There's not like a chat where you can like type in stuff.
Yeah, there's a little box down there that says chat with everyone. Do you see it? It's a little message icon.
Okay.
And it says chat with everyone. And there is something, I forgot how to do it, but okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Okay. How you doing, sis?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. How are you?
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, now does everyone have a copy of the book? There's an option on here. I forgot how you do it, but it shows you. I put it. Yeah, alhamdulillah, you got a copy. But I sent the link. I put an attachment in this on here. I forgot how you access it though. I think you guys look on the bottom. It should say something about where you can see notes. You see anything like that? Okay, if not, don't worry about it. Then you can but you do see where it says chat with everyone. You see the little icon down at the bottom. It says chat with everyone.
Well, I'm not on my laptop, so I'm using my phone, and I don't see it on.
Yeah, I don't see it. What does the icon look like?
It's like a little message, like a text message thing. It's something that says where you could chat. All right, let me send a chat there.
Does it say in-call messages?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Chat boxes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It says in-call messages.
Okay.
All right. You see it? You see it? I send the salams?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody else see it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, all right. All right, it's 11:05, so we're going to start. All right, you ready? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsani ila yawmiddin wa ba'd. We'd like to welcome you all to our class that we're relaunching, and we're going to be covering the book Ar-Risalah to al-Jami'ah wa Tadkhiratun Nafi'ah, which is known as the comprehensive message and the beneficial reminder. Can everyone hear me clear?
Yes.
Okay, alhamdulillah. All right, so I decided to use this platform this time around on Google Meet, and in any event that it doesn't seem to work well, we can switch over to Zoom or something like that, inshallah. All right, so the purpose of this class is going to be going through this book. There should be a way I can attach this. Does every First of all, Sister Kali, do you have the book?
I don't. You can call me Khadija.
Oh, Khadija, I'm sorry.
I don't have the book. Yet.
Okay. If you could put your email address in the chat box, and I'll send you a copy. Okay. All right. So we used to have some hard copies of this for everybody, and but we gave them all away. So now I'm resuming this class. Also for people on Facebook, if you're going to attend the class either live or through the Google Meet, you can inbox us on Facebook and leave your email address, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of the PDF form of the book. All right. So so the purpose of this class basically is we're going to complete the book. We're going to go through the book, and inshallah, is the goal is that you all will be able to have some familiarity with this book. I don't know if I said that right. Be familiar with this book, and that you'll be able to teach it on your own, inshallah. So we're going to just take our time, make sure that we understand the text. It's a very, very simple book. Let me see if I can pull this up. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can pull this up. Because this is a way that you can share the screen. Okay. All right. This is the format. So we're going to read through some of the book, and then I got some PowerPoint notes that I'm going to share on the screen that you'll be able to see, and that you can take notes. So basically, if you had my class before, Tahir, you know that we go through this stuff. I give you notes, and then I request that you kind of run it back. So this is going to be a class, not just us being online and talking about it, just to make sure everyone understands the material, be able to run it back, and then hopefully you'll be able to take this text and teach it, inshallah ta'ala. All right, is that any questions so far? Okay, so man, I can't read this straight. Give me 1 second. I'm like one of them Sunday preachers that ain't prepared. Like, I'm just joking. Okay, I got Brother Hanif on, mashallah. All right. Yeah, no worries. No worries, man. Why? It looks like I'm frozen. It seems like I'm not moving.
I just see the F.
Yeah, but you all can hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tell you. All right. So we're covering this text. So the goal of the book, the goal of the class is to go over this small text. It's a very small treatise, something that we all can learn from. Most of the stuff that many of us we know already, but I'm teaching the class and assuming that this is like people we all brand new. So please be patient. If it's a lot of stuff that you already know. How did I do that? Please be patient with stuff that you already know, and and it's just a reminder, inshallah ta'ala. It'll be just a reminder if you already know. But some of this stuff, it'll be stuff that I've covered with some of my teachers, and some additional notes that I'll add to it, inshallah. So if you don't have the book, don't worry about it right now, because today we're just going to be doing the introduction. So you all know when you do, why is this doing this? In my classes, it ain't just, I'm reading stuff to you, and then, and it sounds good. We'll have quizzes, and we have tests and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So the goal is going to. I was saying that I read this book with a couple of my teachers, and the late great Abu Hijla Imaduddin, Sheikh Imaduddin Rahimahullah. As you all know, we brought him to our masjid a couple of times. I also got an ijazah from him, just a general ijazah of barakah. As we read the book together. I listened to him, and he gave us authority to teach it. But it was just a general ijazah. But I studied this book with a couple of teachers and completed it. So it's just a basic text. It's one of the earliest books that they use in the Shafi curriculum, mostly in Yemen and East Africa. So it's a very small book, and we're going to start with this book, and inshallah we complete it. Then we'll go to another book that's called Refinement, called The Ark of Salvation. It's another primary book in Shafi school, in Shafi fiqh. All right. So let's see what the Facebook crowd is looking like. They're not looking like too much. That's okay. All right. So we'll start. I'll read the introduction, inshallah ta'ala. So it says, the introduction. How much things acting up? All right. So, okay. We got Brother Issa Bey joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing, Sheikh?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Okay, alhamdulillah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How's everybody?
Okay, we got Ashford and Simpson, the Islamic Ashford and Simpson online. Just make sure you ain't got no Jerry curl, brother. All right.
I still got it.
Okay, so inshallah we'll start with the introduction of this book. Hold on, let me get it together. All right, so it starts with, it says, all praises to Allah, Lord of the worlds. May Allah send prayers and salutations upon His servant, sent as a mercy to the worlds, Muhammad, the seal of the prophets, and likewise upon his family, companions, and those who follow him in excellence until the day of resurrection. All right, it says, this text is called Ar-Risalah al-Jami'ah, or translated as the Essentials of Islam, and has been for 3 centuries as a basic introduction to the rules and principles of Islam. It has served as an elementary book all over the world, especially in East Africa, Yemen, and the Far East. It presents in a few pages the basic facts of belief, worship, and morals, which are obligatory knowledge for every Muslim man and woman. All right, so for right now, you don't have to take no notes because I'm going to read the introduction, and then at the end, I got another presentation I'm going to show to you the stuff that I need you to know. All right. So the author is Ahmed ibn Zayn ibn Alawi ibn Ahmed al-Habashi. He was born in the town of Ghurfa in the Hadramaut region of South Arabia at the beginning of the year 1069 AH, which is equivalent to 1659 of our time. And it says, as a young student, he was accustomed to traveling great distances on foot to the town of Shibam, Taris, Sayun, and Tarim in search of knowledge. He studied all the Islamic subjects, including jurisprudence, which is fiqh, theology, aqidah, the prophetic biography, seerah, grammar, rhetoric, and literature under Al-Sayyid Abdullah ibn Ahmed al-Faqih. And for 40 years, he kept the company of Imam Abdullah ibn Alawi al-Haddad, Imam al-Haddad, Rahimahullah, who was known as the Pillar of Guidance. That was his title. He was called the Kutub al-Hidayah. He was called the Pillar of Guidance. And he was a student of Imam al-Haddad for over 40 years, and Imam al-Haddad had taught him 70 books, which includes all of the Islamic disciplines, tasawwuf, and the like. And he was described by his teacher as the learned ascetic who was sent to me. All right, so that's the intro in the book that for all of you who have it. And then it goes on and says that Ahmed ibn Zayn al-Habashi, he composed a number of books, including speeches, advice, letters, and commentaries on his teacher's poetry. And he established many mosques in various parts of Hadramaut. So he died on Friday, the 19th of Sha'ban, 1145 AH, which is equivalent to October 1732 of the current era. So he lived in the 18th century. All right, and anybody familiar with that time period in Islam? Who else was around that time? Just a quick guess. No wrong answer. Anybody can take a guess. Yeah, this is where you have to unmute your mics. This is an interactive class. Like, this is just not me reading, okay? Because I'm going to get to the meat of it. Okay, on Facebook, you can type it in if you Nobody knows what other personality was around this time? That sounds like a homework assignment. Okay. That'll show up on a homework assignment.
You said he died in what?
The year 1732 after Hijra, which was 1145 AH. So there was another prolific Islamic personality that lived around that time. A couple, actually, but I was looking for one in particular to see if you knew. If you don't know, it's okay.
Was it like between the 12th and 13th century? Is that it?
Yes.
So was that Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab or something?
Yes. That's okay. That's Sister Safiya Sheikh. So that's like I'm just joking. she's not laughing. It didn't go well. But yeah, so they came right before that time period, and some of that we're going to discuss when we get to our Aqidah class. But the focus is to really complete this book where all of you have an understanding and that you'll be able to run it back, inshallah ta'ala. All right, so that's what we're going to concentrate on, and just some added notes that I got from my teachers and just stuff that I picked up along the way. All right, so he died in 1145 AH, which is in 1732 of this current time. All right, so now we go to chapter 1 of the book, where the Sheikh, he begins with an introduction. I'll read the Arabic, and I don't know if any of you want to read some of the English, or I could just read.
When I get my book, I won't make you read everything.
Okay, because actually part of the class is that you have to orally be able to run back the book, not word for word, but I want to be able, in the introduction, the Sheikh begins with praising Allah, and then he mentions yada 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 yada. That's what I'm hoping out of this book. So each week we'll always be repeating it. All right, inshallah. All right, so the Sheikh says, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi bi ni'amihi wa yukafi mazida. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So he began in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then he says, and praises for Allah, the praise that matches his gifts and equals what he increases us in. So the way he said this is like he's saying he praises Allah equivalent to the gifts and the favors that Allah has given him. So innumerable blessings. And then he sends salutations on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then he says upon his family and upon his companions. All right. This is also very important. When we hear the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know we should say sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon his family and upon his companions. So we should know, because of political things, many people don't give the reverence to the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is due to them, or is known as Ahlul Bayt. So from Fatima and Ali, and from their sons Hassan and Hussein, and then that whole lineage is known as Ahlul Bayt. And this is not always the same as when you hear about Shiites. Sometimes people get this mixed up, because some of the greatest imams of this ummah, some of the teachers of the Salaf were from Ahlul Bayt, and that's a whole nother discussion. We do have a brother on Facebook that we have him as a guest on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, his name is Louis Lihon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Or Ustad Luqman al-Andalusi. he has a number of works that where he discusses the Ahlul Bayt, the jewels of Ahlul Bayt, the virtues of Ali ibn Abi Talib, Karramallahu Wajhahu, and some of these things. So you can look him up. And his publishing company is called Jawahir Media. Jawahir Media. But if you go to his page, he does a lot of stuff on Ahlul Bayt. And, he's someone that, we trust. And inshallah, we were supposed to have him up here this month, but, things didn't, go as planned. So we'll be getting him up, or at least try to do a class with him online, inshallah. All right, so then the author, Imam Ahmed ibn Zayn al-Habashi, he relates to hadith. He says, he said, Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Talibatul ilm faridatun ala kulli muslim wa muslima. Wa qala sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fiha ilman salakallahu bihi tariqan ila jannah. Wa ba'd. He said, then he relates the two hadiths. He said that whoever seeks knowledge, seeking knowledge is compulsory upon every Muslim, whether it be male or female. And then he says that whoever seeks a path of knowledge, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make easy for him the path of Jannah. All right, so he started this hadith, this book, with two hadiths. All right, let me get that out of there. All right, then he says, all right, then he says, وَبَعْدْ. So after that, he says, فَهَذِهِ مَسَائِلْ مُخْتَصَرٌ مِنْ بَعْدِ كُتُبٍ حُجَّةُ الْإِسْلام al-Ghazali غالبا من عرفها وعمل بها نرجو له من الله أن يكون من أهل العلم ظاهرا وباطنا وبالله توفيق. All right, so this is basically going to be the section that we're going to cover today. All right, so he said that the author, he began praising Allah. We said that. And he talks about the two hadith. And then he says, the topics discussed in this book have mainly been abridged from the books of Hujjatul Islam, Imam Gazzali, Rahimahullah. It is our hope that whoever knows them and acts upon them will be placed by God among the people of true knowledge, inwardly and outwardly, and successors from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's on page 9 for those who have the text. Is that right? It ends at page 9. So this introduction is where we're going to start. So let me now get the notes for you. All right, because you thought we were just going to be reading to you. That's, you learn how to read in kindergarten. So I'm not here to read to you. We're here to learn, inshallah. All right, so let me bring this up. All right, so now I'm going to bring up. Okay, let's see if you see this. Okay, can you see this screen? Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, it came up.
So now this is where we start with the notes. So this is the class. It's called The Essentials of Islam. It's a class covering the treaties of Ar-Risalah, al-Jami'ah, the comprehensive message, and by your host with the most, Imam Fahim of the Kuba School and Islamic Center. All right. Okay. Let's get it started. All right. Let's start that. Okay, that was the Essentials of Islam. I did that part already. All right, so now the name of the book. This is the stuff where we get into. We kind of mentioned it already, but this is the complete name. Al-Risalah to Jami'ah wa Tadkhiratun Nafi'ah, the comprehensive message and the beneficial reminder. So Al-Risalah al-Jami'ah means like Risalah means like a letter, and al-Jami'ah means like some things that are gathered. And what Tadkhiratun Nafi'ah, in the beneficial reminder, or more translated easy as the Essentials of Islam. So this is the complete name of the book. Ar-Risalah al-Jami'ah wa Tadkhiratun Nafi'ah, the comprehensive message and the beneficial reminder. All right. And so the topics that's going to be covered in this book is we're going to be doing Aqidah, which are actions of the mind as well as the heart. We're going to be doing fiqh, which is the matters of the body. And we're going to be covering Shafi fiqh. So this book is based on the Shafi madhab. So if we have any Malikis, Hanbalis, and Hanafis, stick to your madhab. You're just getting a little something from us. We ain't trying to win nobody over, but if you come over to the school, ahlan wa sahlan, mashallah. And then the other part is akhlaq and suluk, which are actions of the heart. So you see, in the parentheses, I put with Aqidah, we put Iman, and with fiqh, we put Islam, and with akhlaq and suluk, we put ihsan. All right. Can anybody remember where those three categories come from? Anybody? Yeah, somebody talk to me.
The 5 pillars.
Yeah, the 5 pillars, but something more specific that I'm looking for.
Is it the 6 articles of faith? No?
No, that's included in Islam. All right, but these 3 words come from something specific. Come on, Mr. Bay. Don't be hiding out in Google Meet, man. Also, anybody on the Facebook, you can comment.
Isa said Hadith of Jibril.
Okay, you don't sound like Isa.
I know, he ran for the kitchen.
Oh, man, this guy running for the kitchen. All right, yeah, so the Hadith of Jibril. Everybody know about that Hadith? Nobody knows about the Hadith.
Yes.
Okay, I did say that I was doing this assuming that nobody knew anything, and y'all proving me right. It's like I'm just joking, but yeah, the Hadith of Jibril is when the angel Jibril alayhi salam, he came to the Prophet salam, and he came and nobody knew who he was, and he asked him what was Iman and what was Islam and what was Ihsan. All right, so many of the books, when you're talking about learning the essentials, they're going to be under these 3 categories. So this is the topics that are in this book. So when we talk about Aqidah, it's related to Iman, to belief. And when we talk about fiqh, it's going to be related to the pillars of Islam, and it's also related to ahkam, the rulings. When we learn about Islam, when we learn about the shahada, salat, zakat, saum, all of those things, they have particular rulings that each one of us have to know. And then the other part is spiritual refinement, which is akhlaq, behavior, and suluk, or being on the path, so actions of the heart. All right, so if you need to write this down, you can. Oh yeah, so I know somebody might ask, okay, can we get a copy of these PowerPoint notes? And the answer is no, not right now. So these are going to be an ongoing presentation, and at the end, if we complete the book, I'm going to give you these PowerPoint slides and some additional notes, so then you'll be able to take it and run with it. So remember, the goal is for you all to take this and run with it, inshallah ta'ala. All right, everybody got that, or can we go on?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so the author we kind of mentioned already. This is his name, Ahmed ibn Zayn al-Alawi al-Habashi. And so I put the years that he was born and the year that he passed. The first one is the Hijri, and the second one is the current era calendar. So he was born in 1069 after the Hijra, and he died in 1144 AH. All right, so I got a question. How many years was that after the time of the Salaf? Anybody? I mean, y'all do follow the Salaf, right? Nobody knows what they're doing.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, mashallah. So we see the time of the Salaf, the righteous predecessors was the first 3 generations, There's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Khairun nas qarni, thumma ladina yalunahum, thumma ladina yalunahum." He said that the best of generations, the best of people is my generation, right? And then those who follow them and those who follow them. So the scholars have concluded that that represents the Salaf, or the Salaf al-Salih rather, or the righteous predecessors. So it's the generation of the Prophet ﷺ, then the two succeeding generations, and then some scholars have said up until 300 years after the Hijrah. So, and then some say up to 400 years after the Hijrah was included as a Salaf al-Salih. And they say the 400 because that will put some scholars who died right outside of the time of that 300 years after the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So that is the time of the Salaf. So that's, you're talking about 300 AH, 400 AH. Imam Ahmed ibn Zayn, he was born in 1069 AH. So that puts him quite far away, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but he still has a lineage that connects to Ahlul Bayt, you know. That was something we had to do in another class, and you know, because he was one of the if you see this people that has this name, the Alawi name, that this means that they are Ahlul Bayt and they come from that lineage where they can trace it back. But this is not the purpose of that class. But you know, but we're just taking a book that we've learned in our Shafi curriculum. So, and there are other books, but you know, there's a methodology in learning that sometimes we understand it, but when we became Muslim, we may have missed it. You know, for instance, when we went to public school, you started with the basics, you started with small books, you started with coloring books, and then you went to writing, you went to penmanship, and you went to writing cursive, and then you went to writing sentences. So it's the same thing in Islam, you know, and we have to kind of revive that traditional learning, is that we start from the basics and go through a curriculum, and then we build up into other books. Because, you know, sometimes this is problematic in these days where people are reading from books and they haven't mastered the elementary books, you know? They haven't mastered the elementary books. All right, so where we at now? So we said the author is Ahmed ibn Zayn al-Habashi. He was born in Ghurfa, Hadramaut, which is Yemen. He started under Imam Abdullah ibn Alawi al-Haddad. So that's the year he was born and the year he passed. He was his student for 40 years. And Ahmed ibn Zayn was, as we mentioned in the early part of the biography, he was very proficient in many of the Islamic sciences. So he was known as the Little Shafi'i. He was known as the Little Shafi'i, and he was also known, they call him the father of mosque, Abu Masajid, right? And that was because he was very active in building a lot of masjids or helping to restore them in this area. So he built about 16 masjids, you know, with either directly or indirectly with his support. All right. So this is a very high-powered scholar, and this little book that he wrote for us, you know, is something to remember. In his 40 years of being with Imam al-Haddad, that we mentioned earlier, that he was the pillar of guidance, right? Learning from him, learning all of these sciences, and then you see the year that Imam Habashi died. He died 1144. Imam al-Haddad died in 1132 after the Hijrah, and Imam Ahmed ibn Zayn died in 1144. So he died about 12 years after him. So 40 years under his tutelage, working, and then another 10 years teaching. You know, and there's a story that says that when Imam al-Haddad, when he passed away, that he acknowledged that Ahmed ibn Zayn was his successor. You know, so this is the kind of legacy that we want to have, a lifetime of servitude and teaching and being of immense benefit for the Ummah. So he left a great student behind, inshallah. All right. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the next one. So now we talked about the introduction. We already read this, so we're just recapping right now. So in the introduction, he started with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All right, so that's known as the Basmala. You know, whenever you start something in the Quran, it starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That statement there is known as the Basmala. All right. Then there's a hadith when we talk about the basmalah. It says that every matter of concern that does not begin with Allah's name is cut off. And in the Arabic it says if it doesn't begin with Allah's name, fahuwa akhta. That means it was cut off. Akhta means like an animal with an amputated limb, something that's defective, so it's no good. So any act that we do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we can't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before it, then it is defective, and then we should think twice that, before entering. So if you can't put Allah's name before it, then it's probably not worth being involved in it, because it's going to be a defective kind of thing. And that's a gauge that we should try to use whenever we are challenged with things or entering into places, situations, or with people. If we can't say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before we do it, it's probably no good. So it's akhta. It's like an animal with an amputated limb that you can't use. It's no good. All right. And so I just wanted to add here a little stuff about the basmalah, because as I was reading my notes from a previous class, the basmalah is powerful. So it begins with Allah's name, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes himself as Ar-Rahman, that he is the one who gives enormous, tremendous, and profuse blessings. The one who gives enormous, tremendous, and profuse blessings. And he is Al-Rahim, and the one who gives finer, specific blessings and perpetual blessings that are exclusive for the believers. All right. So in other words, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is Al-Rahman, that this is the mercy and blessings that he extends to everything in creation. So, and this is, he gives to people, who are undeserving of it, for people who are atheists, for people who don't believe in anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extends tremendous mercy to them, just because that's who he is. And then Ar-Rahim is, they both come from the same word of Rahmah, mercy, but Ar-Rahim is more specific, and its perpetual blessings exclusive for the believers, just by the mere fact of us believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and committing to his religion and following his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are always specific types of blessings and mercies that's coming our way, even if then we don't recognize it. But we should always, put that inside of ourselves, that I am the servant of Al-Rahim. And we also get that tremendous, enormous blessings from Al-Rahman, but Al-Rahim is exclusive. So we should carry it like, we're exclusive people being servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. The reason why I included this, because sometimes you'll find, or no, not sometimes, all the time you'll find in tafsir discussions, when they talk about the basmalah, it's deep. The basmalah is deep. When they talking about that, just the whole sentence itself is like divinely ordained, and then they say that all of the summary of Al-Fatiha is in the dot that makes up the ba. SubhanAllah. I mean, I got a statement, I forgot to add it on here, but I'll bring it next week, that it's saying about the basmalah, how it's just really, why this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins in the beginning of every surah of the Quran except one. Everybody know what surah that is?
Surah Tawbah?
Surah Tawbah. And, there some of the Mufassirin have discussed that he didn't begin Surah Tawbah with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim because he was angry with those Yahud and those hypocrites. And the theme of Surah Tawbah is like, you thank Allah for being a Muslim, because Allah expresses his displeasure with those people. All right, so everybody got that so far? All right, so that's the reason why I include that there, because the basmalah, I was just talking to one of my other teachers, he was saying he had a class that they was just talking 2 hours about the basmalah. 2 hours. So, Assalamu alaikum. I think somebody just joined.
Yes.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. How you doing, sis? Okay. All right, so everybody got that? Everybody got that? Okay, so we go to the next slide. Okay, so then the hadith that we mentioned, the first one, he said, Talabul ilm faridatun ala kulli Muslim, that we read. This is what the author began the book with. So this book is about knowledge, and what kind of knowledge is he talking about? He's talking about one particular type, but I included both of them here. So we all know about these two types of knowledge, Fard Ain and Fard Kifaya. All right, so Fard Ain is an individual duty. It is an act that is obligatory for Muslims individually, and each person will be rewarded for performing it or punished for failing to perform it. And Fard Kifaya is a collective duty, and that is an act that is obligatory for the Muslim community collectively. So an example of Fard Ain is the knowledge that we're learning here, and what we will discover about the 5 pillars, how to pray, how to fast. Each person has to know that for themselves, meaning it can't be secondhand information. They have to know it, they have to understand it, they have to be able to articulate it as well. Like, not only know it, know why you're doing it, what's the ruling behind it, and those things like that. So like the salat and all of those things. And then some scholars have included such knowledge that is obligation for you to learn, but it's not an obligation until you enter into it. For instance, if you enter into a business transaction, if you need to conduct business Islamically, then it is upon you to learn the knowledge that relates to mu'alamat or transactions. But if you're not in the business, there's no need. You're not obligated to know it. You follow what I'm saying? Or for instance, if you get married, you need to know all of the rights and the rulings that about marriage. You have to learn them. But if you're not married, they don't really apply. But if you're getting married, you should know what is the obligations of marriage, what are the duties, what are the expectations, and stuff like that. All right. And Fard Kifaya is a collective duty that is an obligatory for the Muslim community, and that if someone doesn't undertake the task, then everyone is responsible. And an example of that is like, someone has to be responsible for, making sure the Muslims get buried. That's one of the things that we always we're tried with, making sure the Muslims get a janazah. So it's an obligation, if there's, in the event that someone may not have insurance, we have to try to make an effort to collect it on their behalf or anything like that. All right. So everybody understand this, Fard Ain and Fard Kifaya?
Yes.
All right, so this treatise here is basically going to be concentrating on our individual duties. All right, our individual duties. So it'll be covering the 5 pillars of Islam. It'll be covering Aqidah, and then it'll be covering the matters of the heart, which is also an obligation because we all have a heart, and we all have a heart that needs to be purified. So it is an obligation to know the matters of the heart, to know the vices, to know the what's called uyubun nafs, the defects of the soul, and how to purify ourselves from them. So we're going to be covering that in this book. All right, any questions so far?
No.
Okay. All right, so the source is, the Sheikh mentioned, he said that the masail of this book, he said, is a mukhtasar. So in the beginning of the book, he said that he took the book, this treaty that he said it's from some of the books of Imam Al-Ghazali. So he said it's a mukhtasar. So a mukhtasar means a summary or an abridgment, or putting wide meanings into a few words. All right, so when you see a book that is a mukhtasar, as a summary and abridgment, it is taking the important things out of volumes of works. The great scholars of the past, they used to write books in volumes. You're talking about, 10, 20, 30 volumes, and the volumes having 300, 400, 500 pages each, So there's a whole wealth of information that we don't even have access to because, this stuff is not translated. And, we don't be reading anyway, so so mashallah. Well, in general, I'm not gonna say we. I'm just saying in general. So mukhtasar is an abridgment, and so the Sheikh he said that this book that he's writing, that most of it is abridgment from Imam Al-Ghazali. All right, and we are familiar with Imam Gazzali. These are the years he was born: 450 AH which is 1058 of our time, and he died in 505 AH, which is 111 CE. Isn't that is that medieval times? Isn't that medieval times? I'm not sure in history. That's like, where are our Game of Thrones people at? Ain't that around Game of Thrones? Ain't that around that time? Nobody knows what Game of Thrones is now. Okay.
Won't watch it.
Huh? Nobody watch it? All right.
I mean, I know, but
yeah, I know you know. That's why. But I don't know if it's around that time. But I think that's around medieval times in European history. All right. So, and you remember Game of Thrones? I mean, no disrespect to anybody. It was just like dirty white folks trying to, trying to express some royalty. They were some filthy, savages, man. So, but during that time, we had elevated people like Imam Al-Ghazali, Rahimahullah. So he was born in Tus, Khorasan, which is Iran. Something very important to know, that very rich legacy comes from Iran. Some great scholars that came out of there, because many times we hear about Iran, we think about the Shiites and we think about something else. No, there's a rich legacy of scholars that came from Iran. And he was known as Hujjatul Islam, the proof of Islam. And the most famous work that he did was, out of the many works, is called the Ihya Ulumuddin, which is the revival of the Islamic sciences. So Imam Gazzali was one of the great scholars. This is a book that we should get. So I'm going to do a plug here with Masjid Muhammad in Atlantic City with my fellow Imam Amin. You can go to their bookstore website and probably purchase this. They have one of the updated versions of this collection, the Ihya Ulumuddin. If you had one back in the day, from those Pakistani printing presses where the words be all crooked and the pages don't be like, it's like bad printing, but this one is really good, inshallah. All right. So Imam Gazzali, we discussed him. I mean, we would have to have a whole class to discuss Imam Gazzali. His asceticism, his really being removed from this world. I just wanted to share this one with him. It says, reported that shortly before his death, one of his companions said, advise me. He said, you must have sincerity. And he repeated this until he died. So this was the kind of this is the kind of characteristic that Imam Gazzali rahimahullah that he had. This was his last word of advice to one of the people that saw him before he passed. And if you read his story, he started out, he was a teacher at a famous university, and when he started becoming like really recognized, he left. He left, and he went away for 10 years. And then it says in that 10 years, this is when he put together his Ihya Ulumuddin, which is his most celebrated work. And they say that that's his, every scholar has like their magnus opus of their works. So for Imam Gazzali, it was the Ihya Ulumuddin. He wrote other few books. Another one he's doing, he wrote, is called The Beginning of Guidance. The Beginning of Guidance. And we have one of our teachers, Sheikh Walid Al-Rifai. He's doing this book on Masjid Muhammad's website. I think it's at 8 p.m. on weeknights or something. So you could check that out, getting a scholarly discussion of the book of Imam Gazzali. But this last sentence just shows you what the depth of his scholarship and his asceticism, and mashallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him. I mean, all right, any questions so far?
No.
Okay. All right, so now the Sheikh we mentioned in the beginning, this is high hopes from the Imam. He said that when he took these masail, he took these issues and he did a mukhtasar. He summarized them in this little book that we have. He said it's from Imam Gazzali. He said the hopes that we will be the Ahlul Ilm, the people of knowledge, Zahiran wa Batinan, apparent and hidden. So he's saying that this treaty that he put together with his 40 years of expertise, his 40 years of being a student of Imam al-Haddad, his 10 years after that of being a teacher, And it said it's reported that somebody had asked him this book Refinement, that they asked him, they said, you guys have all of this, high level knowledge and stuff, and they said, what about for regular people? What about for regular people? And he said this is when he wrote this book. So this little treatise is coming from 40 years of high scholarship and teaching and suluk. All of this is condensed into this little treatise that we're going to do. So there's going to be some immense barakah in it, So he said that he made dua for everybody who will read it, that they will be the ahlul ilm. So people of knowledge, apparent and hidden, complete inside and out, thorough with the knowledge that you are supposed to know. So this book is going to be covering our fard ayn. So this is knowledge that we have to know. It's not something that we're supposed to be asking anybody. This is knowledge we need to know, like the ins and outs of salat, the ins and outs of zakat, the ins and out, Ramadan, which is less than 100 days away. We need to know, because every time, Ramadan come around, I get all these calls, when does Ramadan begin? No, we're supposed to know when Ramadan begins. We need to know the rulings of what makes when does Ramadan officially begin? Who has to fast? Who is exempt from fast? Who those things you have to know. It's not just call the imam so he could tell me. So this is knowledge that we're supposed to know. So he said that he hopes we become Ahlul Ilm. And something very important, learning the fard ayn knowledge, even though it seemed like it's simple and we've been Muslim for a long time, many of us, some of us all of our lives, this is what makes you really truly knowledgeable inside and out, when you know this knowledge and you digest this knowledge and you're able to articulate this knowledge. You'll do more than a person who seemingly has a lot of knowledge, or they talk like they have a lot of knowledge, but they don't know these things. They don't know these things. So this is going to be a nice journey, inshallah, through this book. And it's just a beginner's book. All right. And then at the end, he said the tawfiq in successes from Allah. So tawfiq is usually, we say tawfiq, we mean success, but tawfiq has a meaning of the ability to do good and to stay away from evil. That's what true success is, the ability to do good and to stay away from evil. All right. So at the end of that introduction, when we read, he said, with Allah is the success, with Allah is the tawfiq. All right. All right. So now, as we conclude, any questions before I present you with these things you need to know?
No.
Anybody else? Any questions from our Facebook viewers? Okay. All right. So the things that you need to know, that I'll ask you next week. All right. Inshallah. So the first thing, you need to know the complete name of the book. So anybody want to take a stab at it right now without looking at their notes? I can see y'all looking at your notes, I mean, maybe turn your camera off at least. Hey, you know what I mean? All right.
We're taking notes.
Okay, mashallah. Okay. So what you need to know is the complete name of the book. Ar-Risalah al-Jami'ah wa Tadkhiratun Nafi'ah, and which is I'll accept the essentials of Islam as a translation, but it's the comprehensive message and the beneficial reminder. All right. I even accept Ar-Risalah al-Jami'ah. No, I won't. No, the complete name of the book. All right. The name of the author and his teacher. I gave you the death dates. I would prefer, at least the year that they died, the Hijri year. The Hijri year. All right? Yeah, the Hijri year, inshallah. So Imam al-Haddad, he died in the year 1132 after the Hijra. And Imam Ahmed ibn Zayn al-Habashi died in the year 1144 after the Hijra.
A quick question.
Yes.
From my old notes, it had that Ahmed ibn Zayn, that he died in it was like I don't know if it was a discrepancy, but I had 11:45.
Yeah, I mean 11:44, 11:45.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you use the Hijri calendar, it's off a few days every with the Gregorian calendar. So yeah, that's not too much of a difference. So some say 11:44, 11:45. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, your notes are official. All right. The name of the author, the death dates, also the topics. What are we going to be talking about? So you should be able to relate Aqidah. When we talk about Aqidah, we're going to be talking about Iman. When we talk about fiqh, the Shafi fiqh, we're going to be talking about Islam. And when we talk about akhlaq and suluk, we're going to be talking about ihsan. All right. And also, what you need to know is other things that's listed in this presentation. For example, what is the nickname for the author, or something that you heard me say that wasn't in this presentation. All right? Something that you heard me say that wasn't particularly in this presentation. All right, so these are the things you're going to know. So we'll do this next week, inshallah. I asked you the name of the book. We'll run through the intro again, the name of the book, some questions, and then the last thing, Tawfiq, inshallah. Tawfiq. All right, let me stop sharing the screen now. All right, stop. I'm supposed to say stop presenting. All right. So that concludes this class today. Are there any questions, any comments, any suggestions, any criticisms?
Now, I just have one question.
Okay.
Under Tawfiq, it said success, the ability to do good, and I didn't get the last part.
And to stay away from evil.
Okay.
So Tawfiq, when somebody, if you say, yeah, I got a new job, and somebody says Tawfiq, inshallah. So it really means like success for you. But another meaning is that success is really the ability to do good and to stay away from evil. That is a little deeper meaning of the word Tawfiq, inshallah. Okay. So any questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, where can we find the book at?
If you email me, I got your email address. I'll send it to you, and I'm going to be, soliciting some of my my money people, a couple of them on here anyway, and to maybe purchase some books for us, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So Tawfiq, inshallah. All right, yeah. So we had a few books, but we gave them out the last time, and but I wanted everybody to have a hard copy, inshallah, because I want you all to review the book from time to time. Like, for instance, I want you to be able to, say the introduction, the name of the author, the purpose of the book, all of these things up until everything. So it don't have to be word for word oral presentation. But at the end of the class, if we all still around, then each one of you individually have to go through the book without looking. All right? And it'll be easy because we're going over every week. The treatise is small. In Arabic, the book is only 22 pages. So, and I think this book is about 60 pages. So it's a very small treatise. And remember, it's a mukhtasar. It's a abridgment, because, from Imam Gazzali's work, you got to be qualified to get in those kind of books. So, and the Sheikh was asked to write a book for people like us, the awam, the general folk, so... I know ain't nobody here thinking like, they're going to get this stuff and they're going to be a scholar. No, but you're going to have enough to know that you know what you're supposed to know and you know it. That's what we want to be. You're confident in your knowledge and in your worship and in your belief and in your spirituality that this is your obligation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be grounded in it, inshallah. So that's the goal. All right, so any questions? And we got any questions from Facebook? I don't know about doing this live on Facebook. Facebook people funny, man. Y'all Facebook people funny. Nah, I'm just joking. All right, but so if there are no questions, inshallah, any comments, we'll end there. So we'll always try to keep the class within an hour time frame, inshallah. Keep it very short and concise. All right, so if there are no questions, inshallah, we'll stop there. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام.
Wow.